Scalisi.
How are you guys doing tonight?
And we want to thank Robert Soleil for his rendition of the quarantine version of Three's Company that he made for us. He changed a couple of key words. And, of course, we'll change it back when we go back into the studio. If this thing ever ends, if this quarantine ever ends, like, we're all hoping it will.
Yes, yes, we miss Tony Landolfi so much. Bonnie and I have been holding it down. Like Rob Soleil said in the song, we do it from our house. Gubs has let us broadcast from home to be safe during these times. But yeah, it's crazy, guys. This is our 5th show in quarantine, and our 47th.
Is it the 5th one?
5th one.
Holy
it's crazy. Time is like kind of irrelevant now. And it's the 47th episode of Three's Company radio show ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I think May 8th was like our first show, or May 15th last year. So it's crazy because it feels like we've been doing this forever. It doesn't feel like less than a year.
Yeah, all time is like. I forget what day it is. You probably guys are the same way with this quarantine. I'm like, is it the weekend? Is it Tuesday? Who knows? I have to check my phone.
Yeah, I know. My whole perception of time too, with being able to work from home. Like I'm trying not to, but the one night at midnight, I had napped from 9 to 11, and then at midnight I woke up and wrote a couple of emails. I'm like, they're gonna think I'm a psycho, but whatever. So
we already have a couple of people tuning in. Joey Cola, hi, how are you?
Joey.
Peter Varek said he's tuning in to hear Robert's new song. You tuned in, and Robert didn't even tune in.
Did you miss it? Well, Robert always misses it.
Robert always misses the song. So Peter is from the band Street Fighter, of course, and that's one of the many things I miss about being able to go places is to see them perform and go out to bars, go out to restaurants, go to comedy clubs. I miss all that.
I know.
And I'm getting sick of this. Taz, the residential artist.
Taz, we love you.
So Peter Varek says that you and I have a bad track record with males on our show. I think in general in my life, I think that's a perfect thing.
It's not our fault. It's a national crisis. I mean, it might be. Bonnie's a pro-Trump guy, so it could be her fault.
Maybe I scare people off with Trump. I don't know.
But it's so funny because you met both of our co-hosts, and Peter Brick openly said how much he liked Tony better.
Yeah.
Jim.
And Jim was offended by that, Peter, by the way. He's like, that wasn't nice.
I think he also threw in that Tony had nicer hair.
Peter wants to know what happened to Tony. Well, Tony is still Tony, but he's just, there's only room for 2 people, and, so... He was very...
one of us had to go, and it wasn't going to be me or Bonnie.
No. He works in a car place.
Yeah,
and he's exposed to the public on a daily basis. And Mandy works at home, and I'm retired, so we're not constantly meeting new people. Right. So Tony was generous enough not to want to get us exposed.
I know. He's like, it's not that I'm afraid of being sick. He's like, I'm afraid of carrying it around and getting other people sick. Which is really the fear for a lot of people my age. Hopefully if you get sick, you'll be fine, but you got to be very careful because even if you're having some symptoms, you're obviously contagious to everyone around you. So that's why, like Bonnie said, I'm working from home. Bonnie's retired, so she's staying home.
Yeah. And I take care. I have a 91-year-old dad. Tony has a 90-year-old grandma.
Yeah, grandma.
So I'm bringing supplies to my dad, and then I'm wiping them down. And when I go in and visit him, I make sure I stay far away from him. I keep my boys outside in the car because I don't want them, exposing him. But everybody's doing what they can. So Peter is saying, too bad, weird haircut. Are you talking about Jim's hairstyle, Peter?
No, that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of problems with Jim Raya.
I've been really enjoying Jim's posts lately. They've been very entertaining to me lately. He's been talking about his wife. He just cracks me up. But our topic today is scary stories. Last week it was embarrassing stories, and we want to know. So start thinking, get your wheels turning. We want to know something that happened to you that was scary. Here's our scream button. Here we go, scream button. Yes. So Mandy and I put up, we have a few that we wrote up that happened to us. And if you want to share yours, we'll read it on air, unless it's a novel. I mean, like, please keep it short and succinct. So Heather is tuning in. Hi, Heather.
Hey, Heather.
Joan Kupriasha is tuning in. Taz, of course, the residential artist. So Peter goes, sure, let's see if he ever comes back. Are you talking about Jim or Tony?
I'm going to start something else. He's saying it's our fault. Wait a minute. The last time...
They are the ones that bailed out, not us.
But Jim was the last one. The farewell show with Jim was with Street Fighter. And then last time we had Street Fighter was the last time we were ever allowed in the studio. So I think they're cursed.
Yes,
I don't think it's us. I think you
are. You're the curse.
You're the curse.
You're the only common thread. Right after the show with you, we lost Jim. And right after the show with you, we lost Tony.
Yeah, you're the common denominator. Yes. We can't even blame Bob Soleil because he didn't make it.
Right, he couldn't come in. He wasn't able to come in.
All your fault.
Michelle Asta. Hi, Michelle is watching.
Michelle and Heather, we're both going to have you back, guys,
definitely.
As soon as we are allowed to legally do this. This is an underground illegal operation right now.
And Felix, I love Felix. Felix is tuning in. He has a new show, where he's the master chef. And type in Felix what day is on and what time, because I'm a little confused. I'm not that good with my paperwork. So hi Felix from Let's Eat Long Island, doing a quarantine master chef. And speaking of that, Mandy and her husband did a great job on quarantine night on Friday.
You led the way. Bonnie did one on Easter. And then, my husband sat down with me on Friday night at 8 o'clock. And we're going to do it Friday again coming up. And we had a really good time. And it was funny because usually Bonnie's the one that's very good at keeping up with the comments and making sure everyone's voice is being heard on this show. So... it not being Three's Company and it being me and my husband, I was the one more reading the quote, making sure I was including everybody. And some of the stuff that you guys came up with was some of the funniest stuff.
It was very funny.
They were like, well, who would win in a fight? And he's like, well, actually, Mandy thinks she can wrestle people and tries to take me down. And sometimes I really have to and he's just so nonchalant because he's dealt with a psycho for over a decade. It's just
I loved how everybody thought you were twins or brother and sister, and I kept typing in they're a couple, and then a couple of people were like, "What happened to Bonnie? She shaved her head, she cut her hair, and she has a mustache." And I was that was funny.
Yeah, she was horrible.
So I'm gonna start. You want me to start off?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, so the theme tonight is scary stories. So I went back in my memory, which is not that great to begin with. And I saw that my boyfriend was tuning in, but now I don't see him. I don't know. So sometimes I miss your comments. If I do, I apologize. All right. So Michelle has one. I'm going to start with mine first. I used to babysit for my neighbor, which was right next to my house in Syosset.
Okay.
And I was watching a scary movie. I don't remember the name of it, but if you remember the name of it, you guys can type it in. It was about the one where she's babysitting and the killer was in the house and kept calling her on the phone.
Oh.
And then the police call and they go, "Get out of the house. The calls are coming from the house." So whatever that movie was, I was watching it and the kids were sleeping upstairs and I just freaked out and I called my parents and I'm like, "Sorry, your noise is in here. I think someone's in the house." And my mother's like, "You're right next door. Nothing's there." And I'm like, "I'm afraid." So my parents literally had to leave their house, come over. We did a search of the whole house.
See nothing under the bed, Bonnie.
Right. They had to assure me that there was nobody making a phone call from another room. So that was my scary story. So I want to go back to Michelle. Michelle Asta said, She came home to a strange man in her house.
Oh my God.
And when she got home one night, very scary, she locked herself in her brother's room. And when the police got there, they instructed me to make a run for the front door. The guy did get away. Oh my God, Michelle. Was he, you think he was there to rob the place and you just happened to be there?
Did he not know you were ever there? Wait, Michelle's got to call in. I need details about that. I'm scared.
We don't have a phone here. All right, so
now we're just gonna stir up about a lot of old scary memories and then not have any fucking closure.
So Felix's show is on Tuesdays at 12:30, and it's called COVID-19 Iron Chef. So make sure you tune in to watch that I'm assuming it's every Tuesday until we can get back into the studio. Joan is saying to Mandy, you looked gorgeous that night with your handsome husband, and that's true.
You.
Robin DeVito is watching. Hi, Robin. James DiNapoli is watching. Hi. And Greg DeFlippo is saying, Mandy, you did an excellent job with your husband in quarantine life. It was a great show.
Thank you, Greg.
And Robin has been great. I loved when she put on that gear and did a promo for us.
Yeah, teespring.com, guys. That's where you get your merch.
Yes.
Teespring.
Teespring.com. I still have to get my own. James Anthony Raniolo is watching. James, I miss going to the open mics at Stephen Perillo and your at Ziggy's. I can't wait to get back to normal and we can practice and do something. Okay, there he is. My boyfriend is watching. Michael Steven Spielberg. Hi, Michael. I'm going to talk about our trip to Pennsylvania in a minute. Thank you, Michelle. That's the name of the movie, When a Stranger Calls. That scared the living daylights out of me. Jennifer Lentini is watching. Hi, Jennifer. I miss Jennifer. I just was talking. I posted a bottle of wine that was partially filled and then a full glass of wine in my post. And I was like, that's how Jennifer used to pour my drinks for me. And I miss going there.
To the brim.
Yes. So do you want to tell one of your scary stories? And then I'll talk about my trip to Pennsylvania.
Well, I wanted to start with a really, really stupid one.
Okay.
When you're a kid, you just conjure up really dumb shit in your head. And I had seen an episode, most, I guess, kids around my age. There was a show on Nickelodeon. So Nickelodeon's the kids network, but they had a show for, preteens. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And it was live action, and it would always be a different scary tale. So the one that I happened to see was about vampires, and I don't exactly even really remember exactly what the fuck, but I was so scared, and so I had convinced myself for as long as I could remember that if I go to bed, this is the stupidest fucking shit you're gonna ever hear in your entire life, I'm gonna go to sleep. And I'm going to have my back out, and then I'm going to have face the wall and have my foot to the wall. So that way when he comes to creep and bite my neck, he'll trip over my foot. This was completely my logic. Why he wouldn't just go to my neck that's completely unprotected because I'm essentially in the fetal position. And I'm like, what? Yeah, that was a real fear of mine.
Well, what's interesting is everybody, the Dracula movies have been going on forever. And all of this coronavirus, where did it come from? A bat, right? So it's maybe there is some truth to all this. All right, so Felix has a scary moment. He worked part-time as a taxi driver in a Suffolk for extra money. He was in a bad neighborhood and dropped off a party. A man with a knife opened his door and sat down. Luckily, he had the dispatch radio in his hand, and he told them about the guy, and they looked at him with an angry look and asked him if he would like to say hello, and he left abruptly, thank God. That's scary.
Yeah, that is
scary.
That
is very scary. Jennifer Lentini says, Robin DeVito. She says, Saw and Hostel movies. I actually had that in my notes, Robin, that Hostel 1 and Hostel 2 were the scariest movies, 3 of the scariest movies I ever saw. If you haven't seen them and you want to be scared, Hostel 1, Hostel 2, and she likes Saw, but I like The Ring. The Ring scared the shit out of me. And when I used to see the previews on the commercial, I couldn't even watch the commercial. I saw The Ring in the movie theater with a whole bunch of other people, and literally we all were screaming at the same time.
Like a roller coaster,
Yeah, that's another thing I miss is going to the movies. So Jennifer was saying that she watched all 3 Hostel movies again the other night. You know what's scary about the Hostel movies is that it's about real people being horrible, disgusting, treacherous human beings to other people. And that could happen.
Right.
That's what's so scary about it. So I recommend that if you want to, if you're still looking for things to watch and you want to be scared, Hostel 1 is if you're a man, it'll scare the shit out of you. And Hostel 2 is if you're a woman, it will scare the shit out of you. All right, so hi, Bill Hansen. Bill Hansen is watching. So Jennifer, do you have popcorn when you watch the pop? Like when you watch those movies, they're so bloody that like I can't eat anything when I watch them. I just have to like watch it blindly. Robert Soleil, we were just talking all about you at the beginning. You always miss your opening song.
I know. We give you like a 5-minute intro, like
We were talking about you. Your buddy Peter Varek was talking about you.
Peter Varek's blaming us for not being able to keep Jim or Tony around.
Yeah,
it's a coincidence that the last time we ever saw Jim or Tony was when he played music. So I think he might have drove them off.
So that's right.
So that's what you missed.
Oh, Robin, there's a Hostel 2 that's unedited. I never saw that. Oh my God, I'll have to watch that. That is it. Hi, Bill. How are you, Bill Hansen? So is it your turn or my turn?
Yeah, so I'll I did the stupid vampire one.
Okay, so the next one for me is, this is kind of similar to Felix's story. I was a little girl. I think I was like 9. And I was a stupid little girl. I'm a stupid adult. I'm very trusting and naive then. I'm still stupid and trusting now. And I was taking a walk with my friend Mara, who lived across the street. We lived in Syosset, and we would walk this walk from Syosset to the Plainview shopping center. We did it a million times. We would buy stuff, and we'd come home. So we're on our way, and this car pulls up, and this guy rolls down his window, and he says, "There's something wrong with my car. Can one of you come in and help me? I have to reach something on the floor." So like an idiot, I get in the car.
Oh my God!
My friend's standing outside, and he put his hand. He took my hand, and he had me put my hand on his penis.
Oh my God!
So I pulled it away. I mean, he had his pants on and everything.
Yeah.
So I pulled it away, and I got out of the car. And my friend gets in the car, and I'm like, Mara. I go, Mara, don't get in the car. And then I said to myself, I have to save her because he might drive off with her. So my logical thinking was I stood in front of the car because I thought to myself, if I stand in front of the car, he can't drive away with her.
Yeah.
But he could have went backwards and went around me. He could have run me over. And then the stupidest part of the story, because you'd think we'd be so scared we would have run home and told our parents. No. We continued to go to the Plainview Shopping Center. We went and we bought candy. Then we walked all the way home, and then we told our parents about it.
Yeah, this might be our last time we're allowed out ever. We're finishing this adventure.
Johnny McDonald is watching. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
Johnny.
I'm trying to find Johnny McDonald. Johnny, we're talking about scary stories. So anything that's happened to you that was scary, if it's a fast story, please send it in.
Yeah, I got a creepy one. So we bought this house in December, but between I guess September and December of 2019 that just passed, we looked at a bunch of different houses, and we would have to go separately because my husband works during the nighttime and I work during the day. So a lot of times, we would go at separate times and just trust the other one's opinion. So he went to a house and he's like, "It checks a lot of our boxes, babe. It really is a nice house." So
it's a beautiful house.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful house. He's like, "So I'm going to put an offer on it, and then on Saturday you're going to go with the home inspector to go check it out." So I get there, and the home inspector's already on the roof. The guy who's selling the house didn't let us in yet. And the home inspector's like, yeah, the roof looks all right, whatever. And the guy, I could just tell the guy's doing like a very thorough check of the house. Like,
Yeah.
and it's really awkward because the real estate agent and the person trying to sell you the house is in there, but the inspector's like trying to tell you like what's really good with like what's going on. So he's like kind of showing me around, like he's showing me, he's like, you know, not saying anything, but just showing me that there's like mold that has been painted over and a couple just like spots that he's like, there's just like shoddy workmanship. So he takes me in the room upstairs and he goes, listen, I'm just going to tell you, that real estate agent, she's not working for you. She's just trying to sell this house. Like, it's not, like, he's like, I could tell everything that they did on this house was just bad, it was not good craftsmanship. And he goes, and I wouldn't have said this, but I feel obligated to tell you, the guy that used to live here was fostering all these children and abusing them. And then the house went into foreclosure.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, like thank God I didn't live there, because the neighbor, when my husband went to look at it initially, he goes, oh, I really want to see new life breathed into that house. So my husband was like, that would be,
that's a weird thing to say.
Yeah, he's like, I feel like maybe someone died there, like something. And I was like, we would have signed the paperwork, and you know the neighbor would have been like, oh, by the way, that was a child molester's house. Like, oh, thanks a lot, asshole.
Yeah,
like,
now you tell me.
Exactly.
All right, so Will Romero, welcome. And Will Romero wants to know if we have any thoughts on Tiger King. Now, honestly, Will, I have not watched it. The head character kind of skeeves me because he looks like somebody that reminds me of somebody. I can't watch the show. But I don't know. I know it's a big hit. I've been watching The Sopranos, and I'm very into that right now. But what are you guys' thoughts about Tiger King? I mean, from what I understand, she feeds her boyfriend to the tiger. So it's not a series, right? It's just a one-time shot kind of thing.
Well, it's a one season. It's like 6 parts or something. It's like a train wreck. Like you can't look away. It's like some.
So you did watch it.
I did watch it. It's like real American trash. Duck Dynasty, that kind of good, honest American trash. Kind of like this little show.
Exactly. Scream! So Michelle Asta has a funny one. I love this one, Michelle. She goes, the scariest moment ever, and I agree with her on this one, is she went to put her jeans on after 6 weeks of quarantine, and they don't fit anymore. That's hysterical, Michelle. You gotta scream on that one. That one wins the prize.
Yeah, seriously. We're not supposed to be going out and stocking up, but suddenly we're all like eating nonstop.
And then Robin is saying, yes, Michelle, I agree. I get scared daily when I get out of the shower. No explanation needed. That's so funny, Robin. All right, so Bill Hansen said he had a tree fall on his car while he was driving it, and it totaled his Camry, but he walked away. So you were in the car when the tree fell on it?
Jeez.
That's scary.
It was a storm, I guess? Yeah, that's scary.
Oh, yeah, all right, we'll have you back on the show, and you could tell your scary stories on the show, for sure.
He's teasing us?
Yeah, you're teasing us. He's not going to share them now. Hi, John Piazza is watching. John, we were talking about scary stories, so if you have any, feel free to share them. Type them in, and we'll read them. So Will is saying Tiger King is the reason God sent us COVID-19. Maybe you're right, Will. Swamp people, John Piazza says. All right, now, so it's my turn to tell? Or
Yeah, you got one?
Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. This is kind of related to Tiger King. As a kid, I had this friend Mara. A lot of bad things happened with my friend Mara. This is like the third story. Remember I told you the strip poker one? That was Mara. That was last week, which I had to spin around naked because I lost the strip poker game. I got molested with that guy Mara. So here's another Mara story.
A lot of milestones with Mara.
Yeah, in the great town of Syosset, which is supposed to be so high-hat, all this shit went down.
There was just a lot of riffraff.
Yeah.
All that. My mom even says growing up.
A lot of shit went on.
Masturbating in the cars.
All kinds of stuff. So she lived across the street, and her mother was really into dogs, and she had a little dachshund dog, and she had this big dog that was a German short-haired pointer, and this dog was almost as big as a tall horse, like a small horse.
Yeah.
And I knocked on the door, and her mother goes, "Come in." So I open the door, and this dog like starts growling at me, and he comes after me, and I did the worst thing you could do is I ran away into the dining room. I'm holding up a chair, and this dog, oh sorry, I skipped the part. He ran towards me. How could I forget this part? He took a bite out of my stomach.
Oh my God.
And then he was going to keep attacking me. And so I ran into the dining room and got a chair and was fighting this dog off with the chair.
Like a lion.
And Mara's mother comes in and grabs him.
Oh my God.
And then they still kept him. And then he attacked Mara's sister, Beth Ann. And after he attacked the family member,
then
they had to put him to sleep.
Assholes.
So that kind of is like Tiger King in a way, I guess. All right, so
made me feel bone.
Yeah. So, Robin DeVito goes, "I get scared when the Gagoons is on." Robin, that's hilarious. All right, so Michelle asked to say, Michelle asked to say, "The shower gets turned on when I'm naked in the bathroom." What do you mean by that? I don't get that one. And John Piazza says, "They eat gators. The swamp people eat gators? I don't mess with them. The gators supposed to eat us."
Well, I thought when they first had these like alligator gator hunting shows, I thought like it's like fishing. Like you gotta like go maybe harpoon it. I'm like, oh, they fucking shoot the thing in the head. They literally like get the rope around its mouth and then just fucking blast it in the water. I'm like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Like I'm like, that was not even fair at all.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Taz has a story. Speaking of pedos, what is pedos?
Oh, pedos. Pedophiles. Chimos.
My parents wouldn't let us play outside of the property because we had a pedo living next door. When I was telling my friends, they didn't believe me since I lived next to an elementary school. But they looked it up on a site. You can see registered offenders, and there were a lot more pedophiles in the neighborhood than I thought. I even raised my brows. Well, in the house I live in, there were like hundreds of them, and I was like, what's going on? Because I live in Westbury, and it turns out, because I live kind of close to the prison, so these people are listed as pedophiles, but they're behind bars.
Oh, okay.
They're in
the area, but
so,
they're like...
unless they break out, we're okay. So, John Piazza is saying, you did the horror with the dog on the chair? What does that mean?
Oh, well, aren't you Jewish?
I am Jewish, but what is that?
Is it the horror when they...
Yeah, but what does that have to do with... Oh,
because the dog is attacking you and you were using...
Oh, okay, now I get it.
No, it was more like a lion tamer.
People have to explain it to me. I was using the chair as a weapon. I held up the chair, and the end of the chair, I was keeping the dog from getting at me.
Yeah.
But that's another scary story, is I am Jewish, and I remember on my first wedding, they put me on the chair, and I was afraid that I was going to fall off the chair into the crowd. So you hold on tight, and they just keep singing this stupid song forever and ever and ever until you finally get off the chair, and you're like, okay, woo, I did not fall and hurt myself. All right, so Robin DeVito is saying, Bonnie, that happened to me when she was little. A German Shepherd attacked me from the rear. Yeah, so that's a scary thing, is when animals go and attack you. So Will kind of brought up the animal situation. It's animals can be great, but they can also be very, very scary, you know? So it's your turn.
Yeah. Well, back to just some scary movies. Like, you were talking about, like, gore. Like, the movies that really fuck with my head are the ones that are, like, psychological thrillers. Like, the movies from, like, the 70s where it's not a lot of blood and stuff. Like, I mentioned this to you earlier, but The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is so creepy. The nanny moves in the house, and then she, like, tries to start like moving in and moving the wife out of the picture, and then she's like breastfeeding the fucking baby. It's the sickest thing. Like, as a woman, like, I don't even have children, but like her breastfeeding the other person's baby, it's like, oh, it's so sick and scary.
I remember that movie. She blamed that woman for because her that woman's gynecologist molested her.
Right.
And she turned him in. And so she was pregnant as the gynecologist's wife, the beautiful one who was the nanny, was pregnant, and all the stress, she lost her baby.
Oh,
so she felt and then her husband, I think, killed himself because of the scandal. So she lost her baby, she lost her husband, she lost her life. So she was like, I'm getting this bitch. I'm going to pay her back. And she got in there. It's like I said, the real life thinking of people.
Manipulation. Because that's the whole thing. Like, she gets herself in such a sweet position in the beginning where when the wife starts to question her, the husband's like, come on, she's like the greatest. Like, come on, what do you mean? Like,
I know.
Oh my god! And she fucking stabs all the ladies' inhalers. So like at the end when she's like searching for all her inhalers, she's going to like all the emergency inhalers, like in all the different drawers, and they're all been punctured. Like
she was planning ahead, so planned. So Taz is saying another scary story. I'm Jewish from Bonnie Scalise 2020. Yeah, I have a lot of scary Jewish stories. That's funny. And somebody was just mentioning, John Piazza, I See Dead People. That's another one of my favorite movies with Bruce Willis.
Sixth Sense.
The Sixth Sense. That was an amazing movie when he's so afraid of these ghosts, and then Bruce Willis is like, well, what do they want from you? And he's like, I don't know, but I'm afraid. And he's like, maybe they just want help. And then that scene where basically you find out that this girl was killed. She was poisoned by her stepmother, and she wanted her to be caught. Do you remember that movie? I
never saw that movie.
Oh my god, you've got to watch it.
I know, it's like an American play.
It is freaking awesome. And then it has a twist ending, so since you didn't see it, I'm not going to tell you, but it has a twist ending.
Yeah, no, I know the twist ending, because that's that.
But I have to put that on your list.
Yeah.
So Michelle Astor has a similar situation. She had a shepherd charge at me when the twins were 10 months old. Very scary.
Oh my god, yeah, that's so scary.
Yeah, and John Piazza is saying any movie that's based on a true story and the person is possessed is scary shit. Emily Rose. Yeah, I agree 100%. The more it's based on a true story or it's a true story, it's the scarier it is. So Will Romero is saying Shannon Tate Murdashian, 1969. Is that the one from the murders?
Sharon Tate is Charlie Manson.
Charlie Manson.
Manson
they wrote Helter Skelter on the walls. In 1968, Rosemary's Baby takes place in the building where John Lennon used to live and got shot and murdered. Now that's scary. Yes, that's one of the facts that I did know. I'm a big Beatles fan, and I actually went down and looked at that building, and I realized then that it was the same place that Rosemary's Baby. That's another really, for the time, that was a very scary movie. And you had no idea, again, like that her own husband would use her like that. And for the fame and money, turn her uterus into, to someone else.
Yeah.
And that's scary shit. Very scary.
Yeah.
Michelle, who was poisoning whose soup? I don't know. I'm not sure. And Felix is saying when he was 12, he saw his first vagina and it scared the crap out of me. True story. Oh, that was scary about it, Felix.
It was his grandmother's vagina.
That's hilarious. And Taz is saying to him, at least you were 12. Oh, okay. So, Good Night Sugar Babe. Is that a movie, Robin? She said it's sick. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
That one I don't know. All right, so, okay. Let's see. All right, so this is other things that have happened to me that are kind of scary, but not like scary like these movies. But how many of you have had people scream at you right in your face like this? Like they get this close in your face. I'm not talking about a family member. Somebody that's not a family member. Scream right in your face.
General.
And, you're thinking to yourself, okay, what is this person going to do next if they're screaming? Right. Like that has happened. I'm not going to name any names, but that's happened to me from men, from women. And when they're screaming at you like that and spit is coming in there, you're like ready for the fight or flight mode. mentality. Either they're going to get punched in the face or you're going to run away. Have you guys ever had experienced anything like that?
Well, I get embarrassed because I'm someone who, when I get angry, I get really angry, and I'm embarrassed that I've came to levels. I've hit levels like that. And
we're very similar. Like Mandy and I are very similar in a lot of ways.
But it's usually not with like it's like with the people that I love. It's like Glenn's gone, like it's not really like, because usually like acquaintances, I'm more quick to be like, I'm just not going to message you, or I'm going to message you a whole fucking thing about how your soul, I'm going to describe your soul in words, like, like I can't, I think God doesn't put me in places with people that I'm going to punch in the face. Like, there's a couple of people that, like, I'm like, I know I don't run into them because it just wouldn't be good.
You're good about not letting it rise to a confrontation. I'm working on that.
Right.
Your mom just tuned in. Mary Underhill, Mandy's mom.
Mom, I know you have some. We're talking about scary stories, Mom.
Yeah, do you have any scary stories about Mandy or something Mandy did as a kid?
Oh my God,
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Glenn Cook is watching. Hi, Glenn Cook. How are you? Bill Hansen is saying the first time he had sex, he was scared to death because he was all by himself. That's funny, Bill. That's really funny. All right, so John Piaz is saying, Son of Sam scared me. I grew up at that time in Brooklyn, very scary and real.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that too. Everybody was afraid to hang out because this was a true story of this nut job that was going around killing people that were hanging out in their cars.
Yeah, like necking,
Yeah, shooting people in the car. So it really put a staple in people's love lives back then. That was very scary. Yes, Michelle, The Sixth Sense. The stepmother was poisoning the ill girl's soup. I remember that. That is a great movie if you haven't seen that movie. So it's your turn.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right, Mom. Now that you're watching, my mom will remember this. This is just fucking terrifying. It's really like people. Once I say this is terrifying, and then I say the story, they're gonna be like, "All right, your childhood was like totally fine." But so I went into there was like a little like thrift like one-off store in my town that we never really went to, but my mom, for whatever reason, took us in there the one day. And my mom really beat into us, like, you don't talk to strangers, like, you stay near me, like, you're gonna get killed, you're gonna get raped, like, stay close, like, like.
So did mine. So what did I do? I went right into the guy's car. There you go. Continue.
Yeah, so it was really beaten into my head that, like, you gotta stay close and whatever. So the lady, says to my, like, oh, why don't you go play outside, like, let your mother, like, shop around. And I'm like, no, like, I'm okay, like, I'll sit here. And she goes, go outside or your mother's gonna hit you. And, and I was like, what a scary old witch, like, oh my God, that's so terrifying. And we got out of there, and my mom was like, yeah, that was fucking. Oh, and another one, I'm gonna go 2 for 2.
Go ahead.
Another one, and Mom, I forgot about this, was my mom took me to go get my teeth, like, cleaned or cavity, whatever. And I guess we were, like, in between insurances or whatever, so we went to, like, a dentist's office that we had never been to before. And, like, we walked in, and it was, like, dingy and whatever. And then the guy that came out, he was, like, this roly-poly, just little greased-up little monkey, nasty guy. And my mom was like, all right, well, my mom just got, like, a feeling. She's like, I'm going to, like, go in the room with you. And I was probably about 12, we were like 11 or 12, and he was like, no, you could, like, stay outside. And my mom was like, we're going. Like, as soon as he said, like, no, like, you're not coming in the room, she was like, yeah, no, like.
It's like, you get a sense of that something's not quite right.
Right.
If you have street smarts, which I don't. But speaking of, people yelling, I brought that up. I went with my boyfriend to Pennsylvania. I didn't really talk about the trip. It was really cool. I had a great time. But we were traveling in the car for 2 hours, and he knew this place where there was a Walmart. He's like, well, go in there, and your boys, and you could use the bathroom. Because I usually take the boys into the women's bathroom with me because I don't want to let them go alone into the men's room. So I take them into the ladies' room, into the handicap big thing, and we take turns in there. Yeah. So we start walking. So Michael dropped us off. And he was going to go get fast food while we went to the bathroom, and then we would eat it in the car because you can't eat it, because of the virus, you can't eat any place. So we started walking into the Walmart, and I had a scarf over my head. Brandon had a scarf over, he would allow me to put a scarf over his face. My older son, Josh, is very sensory. He refused to put on a scarf. So we start walking in, and one of the workers who's manning the front, it reminded me of like getting into a bar back in the day. She goes to Josh, who's autistic, "Excuse me, sir, you're not going in there. You don't have a mask." So my son, is not used to people yelling at him.
Yeah.
So I said, "Oh, excuse me, he's autistic, and he won't wear a mask." So this little boy was standing there with his mom. I think he was like a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Here's a mask that he could have." He's so sweet. He's helping me out. So I go, "Thank you so much." So I give Josh the mask, and Josh pushes it.
Yeah.
And then I tried to get him to put them on a few feet. Then I tried to put the mask on, and he hit me.
Oh my God.
And so I turned to the lady and I go, "You see, he won't let me wear the mask.
Yeah.
We just want to use the bathroom." So she screams at me, "I don't care. I don't care if he's whatever. You're not going in."
Yeah.
So we left the line, and then, thank goodness for cell phones, I called Michael, and he came back around. And then he always tells me after what, like I should have said something to the effect of, he has a medical condition, and you're telling me he can't go in because because of the mask. Let me see your manager. I should have threatened
disability.
I should have brought all that up. But,
yeah.
I don't like to confront people unless I absolutely have to, unless they come at me. So I was like, let's just find a different bathroom. But that was a real life story that scared the shit out of me. And now I'm afraid to take Josh anywhere because I know he's not wearing a mask. So it puts me in a very awkward situation. Do I leave the boys in the car and run in and get something and then come back out? It just makes things that much more difficult because now you have to wear a mask.
Right.
So, hi, Gina Conjemi Coffin is joining us. Felix is saying he went to military school. His face was screamed at every day. I know. I don't know how you guys did that. You just have to focus on something on their face and say to yourself, "They're an asshole." I love that, Felix. Your mom saying she's an old school Jaws wrecked me for life. Yeah, that movie was very scary to people that like the beach. So John Piaz is saying old Italian women scare me. They will kick your ass with a long beard. He actually typed bread, but I think you mean beard, right, John?
Yeah, the feature with the baguette.
Yeah. So Michelle's answering him. John Piazza, "No way, man. Us Italian chicks are very calculated. You won't see it coming." That, I'm not Italian, so I can't say. Jesus is watching. Hi, Lauren. How are you? So it's your turn. Lauren, we're talking about scary stories, things that's either happened to us or things that have scared us.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go into the category that I'm sure everyone's got a story or two about, but some car accidents. Thankfully, knock on wood, I'm okay and I'm fine. But I used to drive an 87 Vet, and the Corvette obviously had like no traction at all. And we had bought it upstate, and I drove it 3 hours home. I brought it like up by where my in-laws live, and then I drove it home. And I drove all the way home, and like the corner going on to, I used to live over by Route 111. It was sunny out, but it had just rained, so it was like the little bit slick, and I was getting comfortable driving it, so I took the turn too fast, just spun out, and as I was spinning out, I was just screaming like, "Ah!" And I saw the other family like in the car coming at me, like, and they had enough time.
Holy crap!
They had enough time to stop. I just spun. I just hit the curb. I was fine. I was luckily fine. No airbags went off or anything. That car, I was in 3 accidents in that car. That was one of them. Another one, I was like a Tuesday morning, like 8 a.m. I was on my way to work, and just driving. I literally had a 5-minute commute, so I was literally driving just my normal little 2 roads that I had to be on. And there was an 80-year-old lady that was supposed to have a stop sign, and she just didn't stop. She just went
oh my god
right into me and spun my car around. And my initial thought was this lady's gonna like flee the accident because I didn't know like that it was an 80-year-old woman. So I jump out of the car and I'm like, she goes, "What happened?" I'm like, "You fucking hit me is what happened." Like she didn't even like know what was
Maybe
going on.
she had dementia.
And so then my reaction was to not call the police because my reaction was to call my husband because he was 2 minutes down the road. Like, what do I do? He's like, "All right, well, I'm coming. Call the police. Like, I'm coming, you know." And he gets there, and my car is literally driving through the parking lot because I jumped out without even putting it in park.
Oh my God!
I thought that she was going to. And so the police are pulling up, and my husband's like, "Oh my God!" He gets out of his truck. He starts chasing my car that's going like really, really slow. It was
my God.
It was so stupid. He was like, "What did you?" I was so nervous that she was gonna flee the scene, and I had like adrenaline that I was just like, I have to go like stop that car. Totally fuck my car.
I'm sure we all have a bunch of car things.
Yeah.
Michelle asked us saying she got a flat once when she was 18 on her first road trip. It was her cousin and herself, no streetlights, pitch black, up in Pennsylvania, and we got a flat. There were no cell phones. That was scary. I had in my car that I was driving. I think I went to a party and I was on my way back and a snowstorm started, and I was by myself driving, and my windshield wipers broke.
Oh yeah, that's
and
scary.
I couldn't like see to drive the car. I didn't know what to do, and I was sliding all over the place. But I just pulled over. I called my parents.
Yeah.
And my dad came and got me. Believe me, he wasn't happy about that.
But they always say that's the smarter move, because if you had continued on and got hurt, they would have really killed you.
Yeah.
You know?
So Robin DeVito is saying a movie with people with masks on who stand in a corner are super scary.
Is that what you're watching now?
Is that us? That's our show, Robin. All right. John Piazza said, the scariest thing for a married man is getting busted in a lie from your wife. You will see a side of her you didn't know existed. My wife will crazy glue my balls to my thighs if she gets pissed. That's true. There's nothing scarier than a woman who's been lied to. And I can attest to that. That's like just like if you're caught in a lie, just cop to it. It's better than keeping up the lie, because then if you're caught in a lie, you know, it's like
there goes your credibility.
Exactly, they'll kill you. Robin goes, scary is just being married. Robin, you have some sense of humor. You are hilarious.
We watched Wayne's World the other day, and he says, Garth, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in certain countries.
Oh my God. So Michelle says car accidents are extremely scary.
Yeah.
All right, I have another one. I commuted for 32 years to the same school. And I different places, because I moved different places. But this was when I was commuting from Syosset to Queens in Fresh Meadows. So it was a long drive.
Yeah.
And the main roads, it was snowing and icy and everything. The main roads were okay, but like an idiot, I tried to take a shortcut down a side street where I used to live. I used to live in Oakland Gardens, and all of a sudden, it was a sheet of ice, and my car just slid out of control and slid. And then it just came to a stop by itself, and there was a car accident right in front of me.
Oh my God!
They had lost control and hit each other. My car was like this close to hitting the other car, and they had called the police. So I, again, like an idiot, I'm standing in front of my car to protect it, like to try to tell people, like, don't hit the car. So the policewoman comes up. It was a policewoman, and she starts screaming at me. People love to scream at me. And she starts screaming at me, get out of the way of your car. Get out of the way of your car. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just trying to protect it. And she goes, don't you understand that it's ice and you will be squished between the car that loses control and smushes you into your own car.
Hercules body's gonna hold any back.
I'll be a pancake. She goes, get out of there right now. And I was like, I was so taken aback.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? She's right. I didn't even think of that. So, okay, so John Piazza is saying driving next to tractor trailer in the rain on the highway is crazy.
Yeah, they make me nervous.
That's a fear that I have. I've had a fear, not of tractors, but I've had a fear of driving next to big trucks on the road.
Yeah.
Because one sneeze and they're in your lane and they'll kill you. And I had to take the LIE for a number of years, and then finally I said, I'm taking the Northern State. Even if it takes me longer to get to work.
Yeah, there's less, there's no big stuff.
And that reminds me of another scary movie. Those of you out there, maybe you remember the name of it. I think it was called Rest Stop. That was a scary movie.
Oh, yeah,
that was a boyfriend and girlfriend went on a road trip. And you know how you go and they have these rest stops with, you can get out and you can buy some food and you can go to those big bathrooms. So she goes to the bathroom. She's waiting for her boyfriend to come out. He doesn't come out. And then it turns into this whole thing where her boyfriend was kidnapped and, she doesn't know what to do. And that was the one, Rest Stop. That was a really scary story. Did any of you guys out there see that story? That's an old one.
I can't think of the name of the movie right now. Glenn would know. But it's a guy, he's a trucker. And he's driving cross country, and every time he stops at a diner, he sees a big 18-wheel truck stopped, and he's all right. First he's oh, this is just a coincidence.
I think I know what story you're talking about.
And then it's getting really crazy. The guy starts parking where he
has blonde hair, right?
Yeah, I wish I got.
Oh my God, that was scary.
I will post the name of that movie because that's a good one.
That was a great one.
That's a really good movie.
It was a young guy, and he and his friend were bringing a car over, and then they started being stalked by this trucker guy.
Yeah, but you never see the stalker. It's very good.
Yeah, we might be thinking of a different movie, but it's a similar theme.
Oh, and you know what also always got me in the beginning? Is it Footloose when they go from one car to the other?
Yes.
That's fucking scary.
Well, they're crazy. That's like an adolescent nut job thing to do. But
that must have been crazy to film that.
Oh my God.
That's a big stunt.
Yeah, that is a big stunt. So John Piazza is saying tractor trailers don't slow down. Oh, that's true.
They just go.
The water shoots off them. I hate driving alongside them in bad weather. Me too. I would let them pass me. I was like, go ahead. You're in such a rush. Go ahead. Michelle Astor said she was hit behind at a main intersection with a very big truck driving right at me.
Oh my God.
I had to put my truck in reverse and then slammed into the car that hit me to begin with. Yeah, there's a lot, driving is more dangerous than a lot of, you just think you're getting in your car, you're going somewhere, and that could be the last time you're ever alive again.
I know. It's so scary. That's why you gotta always be paying attention. People fucking with the phones and stuff. Glenn and I yell at each other constantly because it's not that we're texting and driving, but it's switching the song and doing shit, and we will both yell at each other do you need me to help you? You really should not be, especially when you have someone who could be Googling or doing what you need to be doing, because it's just such a distraction.
And speaking of cars, here's another one of my scary things that I just did the other day. I'm sure all of you have done it at one point or another, and you. My boys are in the back seat. I went, this was before they told you couldn't go in without a mask. So my boys, it was at Walgreens. We get back in the car. I had packages. I get the boys in the back seat. And all of a sudden, I can't find my car keys.
Oh, yep.
And I just, that fear that just goes through you. I'm like, oh my God, I just put these packages in the trunk. I think I put my car keys in the trunk. But then as I'm panicking, I'm like, well, the car is open. Let me just open the trunk and see. So I opened up the trunk. No car keys. Then I'm like, what do I do? The car keys are missing, but I opened the car.
Yeah,
they have to be here.
Yeah.
So I'm moving everything, and then all of a sudden there they were hidden behind a bag.
Yeah.
But how many times have you lost your house keys, your car keys, and that fear rushes over you? Like, oh crap! What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't have extra sets of keys. I mean, I really should get some extra sets of keys.
I know. Well, my husband, we used to have 2 Subarus, and so we both had the spare. We would each carry. We would both have the spare was never at the house. We both had the spare on our key ring.
That's smart.
until Glenn loses his entire hearing, and we only have one, and we never ended up replacing those. But dude, today actually at like 4:01, I was still on the line with my boss, and I worked till 4, and Glenn calls me, and I mute the call. Yeah,
that was today.
I know, and then he calls me again.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, and I mute the call, and then I text him. I'm on the phone with Rob. He's like, "It's an emergency." I'm like, "Rob, it's an emergency. I gotta go." And yeah, he had locked himself out today. So
it's time for more wine. It's time for more wine. We only have how many minutes left?
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Do you want more wine, Minnie?
Yeah, I'll take another nibble. Thanks.
This is wine time. Wine is not scary. Wine is the opposite of scary. Wine calms you down.
Yeah, no, because honestly, guys, part of this dealing with being quarantined and stuff, it's dealing with stress and dealing with how we're gonna manage it. Like,
yes, this is like a horror movie going on. Like you can't make this shit up. What's happening with the COVID-19?
Yeah, and the people protesting. Like, we want to be able to go outside, and we want to be able to, you know, not have masks on and stuff. And it's like, I get that we need to slowly get back into it, but it's going to take me a very long time before I go back to the office. Now that I know that I could work remotely,
yeah, it's cool.
And now nice. I know I could work safely and limit my exposure. You know.
Your cousin has a good story, Heather.
All right,
Heather just remembered a scary story. She was up in Maine with a family friend, and she was left alone while the family friend went shopping. She decided to go to the lake by the cabin. This sounds like a horror movie.
Yeah.
The family friend and I were in, and while I was at the lake, I decided to take a canoe on the lake, and I lost the paddle and was stuck without a paddle. I started to drift off towards the way the lake was flowing.
Oh, that's scary. That is very scary.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you use your hand? How did you get the boat back?
Probably with the one paddle, unless they noticed. Yeah, no, it's very scary. Being at sea. Because there's been a couple of times because I'm a swimmer, so I'll surf or I'll go out into the ocean swimming, and you lose track of time. And you're like, oh shit, I'm like really far from where I started. Ooh. You know, the tide will take you quick sometimes. And it's definitely a little scary. Yeah, it's a little scary, you know, when you're like, I've definitely had some scary being taken down by big waves, getting like crashing into the sand and the rocks and stuff and being held under.
I hate the beach.
Yeah.
There's somebody who was talking about Jaws before.
That's my mom, yeah.
Yeah, I hate the beach. I hate everything about it. Oh, John Piazza saying, great show tonight. This was the night John was supposed to be our guest.
Oh, John. Well, you contributed greatly via quarantine.
We are going to take all the guests that were supposed to be on our show and give them first dibs when we get back into the studio.
Yeah, there's so many
we'll try to work with you guys to see when you're free. And we're hoping to get back to the studio soon. You know, we'll see how that goes. But the last part of the scary stories kind of has to do with hospitals. My dad, this was like 3 years ago. I had partially talked about that story, about how he doesn't listen to the doctors, and he had this little Mohs surgery thing, and he was bandaged up. He didn't listen to the doctors. He took off the bandages. Later on that night, he started bleeding out.
Oh, my God.
So I didn't hear my phone ring because I have trouble hearing. My sister answers his call, drives him to Syosset Hospital. And they said, oh, well, he had the surgery at North Shore, so bring him to North Shore.
Oh, God.
And my sister's like a very nervous person.
Yeah.
So she had her son in the back seat, one of her sons, and my dad's bleeding all over her car.
Yeah.
So she's transporting him from Syosset to North Shore, where he had the surgery earlier that day. And she got so nervous, she drove her car off the road into a ditch.
Oh, my God.
And my dad's bleeding, so she calls 911, and police come, and the firemen come, and the firemen started yelling at my sister.
Oh, my God.
Like, you know, why are you calling 911? This is not a real emergency. And my sister's like, my dad's bleeding all over the place. And and her car
bleeding out his head. He should be in an ambulance.
She had hit something. Right, she had hit something. Her car had to be towed. She's like, my dad has to get to the hospital. So then she sent my dad alone in the ambulance. I wake up in the morning. I get a call from my sister. Dad's at North Shore. I crashed the car. He's alone there, and my nerves are frayed. So I go looking for him at North Shore Hospital, and it was like, it reminded me of an army. All these cots there were so many people, and this was before COVID-19. There were just people in beds against the wall. And I'm like, they're like, your dad's somewhere over there. And I'm like,
this is like the 70s. This is recently?
Yes. And I'm like, and he doesn't have a cell phone. He's like me. He's technologically retarded. So I'm like, Dad. And then all of a sudden I hear my dad go, oh, thank God. And there he was, like, with all these other people, like beds upon beds in the hallway. Can you imagine what the hospitals look like now? I'm afraid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So basically, we're gonna wrap up soon. You have one more story you want to tell?
No, I think we're good. We want to say Monday, 4/27, Bonnie's going to be doing her quarantine life. And Glenn's going to sit with me on Friday. We'll do 8 o'clock quarantine life. So definitely tune in.
She's really good with technology. I'm not. So mine is just going to be a Facebook Live at 2 o'clock this Monday. And then they'll share it to the governor's page. Because I don't know about computers. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to do Facebook Live. I just learned that. My friend Esther showed me. I'm like, how come this is not working? And she's like, you have to press the start button. I'm like, oh, that makes more sense.
Because it's not telepathic.
Oh, Ann Farragut, thank you. She said she said that I'm so funny. Thank you. I just have crazy shit that happens to me.
I know.
I just go through life and all kinds of crazy stuff happens to me, and I don't know why.
So we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. So if you guys have any ideas for our show for next week, we did embarrassing moments, we did scary moments. Type in after the show is over. Type to either Mandy or I to give us some ideas. Otherwise, we'll come up with our own.
Yeah, seriously. So you'll be so.
Unfortunately, I don't think by next week we're going to be back in, into our regular life yet. So I think we will be back.
Yep. We'll be here, guys, every Wednesday from 7:30 to 8:30. Govs Radio, Three's Company radio show. This is Mandy Jones and
Bonnie Scalisi, and we were really surprised that this last show we did got 2.9K views.
Yeah, almost 3,000 people, guys. Which is
the best we've ever done since the show started.
Yeah.
And I think it's because everybody's home, they got nothing else to do.
I don't think, I'm not attributing it to talent. I think they're attributing it to boredom.
Right.
But either way, we are so thankful for you guys.
We wouldn't have a show without you guys. You guys make the show. We love hearing your stories. And we will definitely, think of some kind of interesting topic for next week.
Yep.
And we'll let you know ahead of time so you can prepare, like give you homework.
Exactly.
And you'll tell us your stories.
All right.
So, let's see, do you have any last one you want to say?
No, I'm good.
What about the Panic Room?
Oh, well, the Panic Room, what scared me about that movie is the people, there's like danger in the house, so they go into their panic room. But how he convinces them that it's okay to come out is he kills somebody and then he switches clothes.
Oh.
So they see, because in the panic room they have surveillance. So they see, he's getting them out, he's dragging them. And then they come out thinking that they're safe and he has switched the...
Is that the one with Jodie Foster?
Probably.
Oh my God, I think that was scary.
But that movie, I was like, just people being able to think of how twisted that is means that it's possible. That's what scares me about scary movies.
It's a lot of creative people that have, they think of these fantasies that are really outrageous. And, a lot of them are really nice, but they have these thoughts. But then there are really crazy people that keep their mouths shut, like Jeffrey Dahmer came across as like such a nice guy.
Oh, yeah, charming.
And he lured all these, I think he was homosexual. He lured all these men and then he would get them into his home. That's another scary thing, is all the serial killers. I'm like obsessed with those documentaries about Charles Manson, Jeffrey Dahmer, the clown guy, Gacy,
Gacy. He was sick.
And the Silence of the Lamb movies. I love all of that stuff. I'm a big horror fan. I love that. But we are out of time. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yes, thank you.
We will see you next Wednesday, 7:30 live.